fact, consumers' inflation expectations have already jumped up on the expectation of tariffs. They are coming off the experience of having lived through high inflation, so they're going to be much more sensitive to it. And so the Federal Reserve is going to be very sensitive to any possibility that those inflation expectations could stay higher. And so they're going to be reluctant to provide a lot of support to the economy.
Jeff Gumback pointing out last night that the 2-year U.S. Treasury yield, around 3.5%, already is suggesting that Fed funds are about 75 basis points too high. That the Fed according to 2 years at 3.6229%. But he doesn't think the Fed actually will cut rates unless the losses are substantially greater than what we see right now. Agree with that?
So I think that it is a very difficult position for the Federal Reserve when you get very strong inflationary pressures coupled with the possibility that the economy could slow a great deal, which is, of course, what the stock market is telling us. Now, the market, as you said, is getting out ahead and anticipating that the Fed is going to have to cut at some juncture. But if those cuts come late, because the inflation comes early, you could still see a very significant downward move in the economy, in the labor market, certainly among consumers. We've already seen their sentiment plunge, and it is likely to go down further as they think about what's happening with their 401ks, as well as the prices they're seeing in stores.
In normal times, the Fed has a pretty straightforward formula. We're going to be looking at things like the labor report that we just got on Friday was very strong from a month ago. It would be looking at things like CPI to try and figure out CPI and PPI, where the inflation levels are. But when you have a crisis like this, the situation on the ground is moving a lot faster than the data will reflect those normal data points that you're watching. Where does the Fed look? What are the alternative data points that they might be reading at a time like this?
Well, I think you're right, first of all, that the last payrolls report, which was good, was backward looking. I think people are expecting the CPI report to be pretty good.
Test. Yeah, you guys are getting that all right. I don't know why this thing is giving me so much issue on getting this computer audio over. Sorry about that. Really shouldn't be having this issue, man. It's just so random. It requires me to restart the entire setup. I would like a way to backdoor this without having to reset everything. I'm assuming you guys can hear me outside of that, but wanted to be able to put CNBC on because obviously there's a lot of interesting stuff going on there. I think there is another way I can do this. Yeah, I'll just do it this way. It's not the end of the world. A little annoying because I wasn't do things this way, but we'll get it working. No big deal. Sorry about that, guys. Sorry about that. A little random when I log on and what the audio situation is going to be. But at least I've got this backup plan. That will be on my agenda to start fixing. So clearly global fears are on the tariffs right now. It's all anyone's talking about. I did a video last night really breaking down my theory on the tariffs, but I also put a tweet thread out that I want to go over. I think the tweet thread is really kind of all encompassing on my views on the tariffs, which, you know, I see a lot of people kind of just looking at the stock market and saying, oh, tariffs are a bad idea. But pretty much the most important thing I kind of want to get across is I don't really see the stock market as a very good indicator of the success or non-success of tariffs. Ed, good to see you. All right, cool. We're cooking now. We got pretty much everything set up. The only thing I'm missing right now is CNBC. Oh, we're cooking now. All right. Okay, perfect. Nice. We're back. Have to do everything differently than I wanted to, but that's not the end of the world. So we can go over the tweet thread I put out last night, and I probably need to retweet it now that it's the morning because I put it out pretty late last night. So here's the tweet thread I put out. Really breaking down tariffs, and then we'll go and take a look at what CNBC is saying in a minute. So I put out on X, Trump talked about tariffs throughout his campaign. The market's reaction to tariffs isn't an indicator of their success or failure. Tariffs are a long game. Anyone calling them just a negotiating tactic misses the bigger picture. They're a core pillar of how Trump believes the government should generate revenue. He's running the government like a business, like it or hate it. That's what's happening. In my view, tariffs make sense. Robotics and AI will disrupt human labor entirely. It's strategically unwise for the United States to let other nations dominate this new manufacturing arms race. Trump's focus is bringing manufacturing back to America, and that's smart for long-term security. People react to tariffs as if the stock market reflects their true goal. It doesn't. This is a long-term play to reshape how the United States economy works and drive investment home. Hate tariffs if you want, but don't judge their success by the stock market. The real results will be if reshored manufacturing and if we have economic security in the next 4 to 6 years. So that's really where I see things in terms of these tariffs. A lot of people are looking at the stock market's reaction to the tariff, the crypto market's reaction to tariffs, and saying, okay, tariffs have failed or tariffs are good. But it completely ignores the fact that these tariffs aren't really shown by the success of the stock market. Tariffs are a very, very long-term plan, and it's to create large macro flows over a decade, not what the stock market does tomorrow. So those are kind of my biggest things on tariffs. Like, if you supported tariffs and now the market's going down and so you don't support tariffs, I mean, that's fine. You're entitled to make your own kind of call there. But I think that's a little silly because the stock market, it shouldn't be your indicator of the success of the policy. Yeah, if you believe that we're going to be going down for the next 4 to 6 years, that's a theory. But all right, let me see if we got CNBC working now.
President Trump posting on Truth Social. This morning, oil prices are down, interest rates are down. This slow-moving Fed should cut rates. Food prices are down. There's no in a long time.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about. Well, we'll get it working some way or another. Really just need another computer to help run this. My computer can barely take it. Yeah, I know the videos aren't showing sound right now. I know the videos aren't playing sound. I'm just dealing with the setup wants to deal with right now. Right now, for some reason, the setup has no interest in playing my other computer's audio. So, just unfortunately, apparently that's what I'm gonna be dealing with this morning. It's a fun live stream. Welcome to the party. That's all right. My computer cannot handle the crash. Well, I got too much. I had too much stuff running on my my computer right now. It can't take live streaming another video source. That's why I normally do it on my second computer, but my second computer doesn't want to pass the audio on. So just the things you got to deal with. It's not the end of the world. Let's take a look at XRP in particularly. XRP right now clearly going below this bottoming range. We'll see how the market reacts this morning. It does seem like it is trying pretty hard to get some green candles in here. The bottom out of here. We should have a lot of news out of the Trump administration today. I don't know if they're going to be specifically pertaining to tariffs, but it's hard to imagine they're not going to try to ease the market today. They're really going to try to talk their book, make the market not scared of tariffs, and try to say something that's going to turn things around. That's what I assume we are going to see a decent amount of today. I don't really see how they couldn't do it. XRP Michael white paper. I haven't seen that yet. Can you post a link in the chat? And I'm curious how XRP to Bitcoin looks. I'd assume XRP is falling harder than Bitcoin just because it has more volatility. Yep. So it looks like we've also seen a crash outside of this channel we've been watching. But definitely not the end of the world there. We have crashed out of this before, as we've seen back here. It's not the first time we've crashed out of this channel against Bitcoin. So the media will say the sky is falling. Yeah, the media is going to say the sky is falling. I mean, this is prime time for the media. I mean, this is exactly what they look for. This is prime time fear selling. This is exactly what they look for. So this is what the media wants. Taylor, good morning. He says, is anything going on? The stock market reacts to change in tariffs, removes tariffs. Either way, it will go down. Stop tinkering with the economy, it will go up. Well, the only thing I disagree with you on there, Ian, is the tariffs aren't looking to do anything to the stock market. They're just not a stock market kind of thing. The stock market is getting shaken up because of the uncertainty, but Trump's plan is a long game, right? It's a 4 to 6 year plan to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and the stock market's saying, I don't like this now, but the question is, will it like it later? And we just don't have any way to evaluate whether the stock market is going to like it later. We'll see. I personally think it will, but I could very well be wrong on that. But judging the stock market is not a good way to judge the success of tariffs or the success on the economy. Right now, we're just watching investor reaction. Volume shouldn't be low, but I've had all kinds of audio issues this morning, so I wouldn't be surprised if there was something else going on. I think it's fine. I don't think a lot of people are saying that crash is planned. I don't personally think the crash is planned. I mean, it's not good for Trump's politics to be talking about tariffs this entire time. There's a lot of big people now going against him for these tariffs that voted for him. I don't think this is in any way intentional, but I just don't think Trump really cares that much about the market reaction yet. Another big discussion going on right now is this. Let me pull this up. People are saying that the Federal Reserve is going to be having a more emergency meeting today to pump liquidity into the market. I don't think so. I really don't. Guys, right now we're just kind of in a market correction, and it's gotten pretty deep. But, you know, the Federal Reserve is not going to step in until something breaks, and the market going down isn't something breaking. So I don't think the Federal Reserve is going to be stepping in here in any kind of emergency meeting to stop the crash. I think, yeah, Crypto Clay, I totally see what you're saying. I think Trump does care about the market, but the thing is tariffs are just, right now we're just watching the market's fear about tariffs, not the result of the tariffs. Emergency meeting by the Federal Reserve, but I don't know if it actually is an emergency meeting. There's a closed door meeting today. And then see what else we can find. Yeah, so this is what the Trump team is saying, which Trump team saying any talk of recession seems silly given expected tax cuts. The stock market is trying to find its bottom. So that's what's being communicated by the Trump administration. So this Trump administration is essentially saying these tariffs are not going to hurt the market, and right now the market is just reacting irrationally. So that's what's the push from the Trump administration is going to be. Vika says, I bought XRP at 57 cents, and since it reached $3.40, it's only gone down. My question is, should I sell now before it falls back to its starting price? Look, that's totally up to you, but I would say if you're in XRP just to get a quick pump and then sell, you're probably not in the right asset. So I don't think if you're kind of looking to trade the up and down swings, you're going to do very well in XRP, especially because you don't really sound like a trader. You know, the purpose of being a trader is to sell when it's high and then rebuy when it's low. Not, you know, technically you could still have a nice little swing in there, but you got to know if you're a trader or an investor. And I would say selling right into market panic probably isn't the greatest sign as a trader. XRP RV Life says sell, we are not the same. Yeah, it's just a different way of looking at it. Some people are here for just a quick little pump and make profit, which is fine. Some people are here for the long game. I'm personally here for the long game. Yeah, if you're an investor, then the market reactions or what's going on in global markets shouldn't impact your thesis on XRP. It just shouldn't really be that much of a factor. Well, some people are saying he's trolling. You know, I think it's a legitimate question. Not everyone looks.
Real wages are going to be up, profits are going to be up, and look, it bewilders me right now in the sense that if you're just looking at this chessboard, it's the market's going to find a bottom, time to layer in. And if you look at all the good things that President Trump is going to bring you in terms of tax cuts, deregulation, lower energy prices, lower interest rates, and the world restructuring in a way which is going to be healthy. I mean, how many conversations have we had about China moving from an export-dependent parasite on the world to an economy that actually serves its own people rather than keeping you talking about tax cuts? Do you know anything about?
Oh, I'm so mad that I can't get CNBC on this thing. It's so easy. It's sitting there playing. It's just not getting pulled into the live stream audio. Of course, today's the day that would have the one day I actually want to listen to CNBC. Every other day I can get any audio to play on here. And one day I want to play on CNBC. It's giving me a hard time. Go figure. That's my luck here. Yeah, I know sound dropped. I watch all the indicators. I know when sound's working and sound's not working for the most part. It's just I just want to see what CNBC has to say about all this, and just having a hard time getting that rate rerouted. Rondell Sims, please everyone take a deep breath. Next month XRP should be $3.50 or $4. Even if you buy now, you get 2x your money. What a great place. I think it's a really good way to look at it, Rondell. I mean, for me, the bigger thing is like none of these tariffs have anything to do with XRP, cryptocurrency, or really the stock market in general. The stock market in general is just reacting to a lot of things. There's not even, to me, it's pretty obvious the stock market's reacting to tariffs, but you can't even prove that the stock market right now is selling off directly because of tariffs. The stock market could have other concerns in mind. So it looks like we've already got a great little V bottoming forming here, which is a really good sign. And it's just hard for me to sit here and say, okay, this is all happening because of tariffs. It seems like the market is definitely freaked out. Are we, Roger, are you talking about the Federal Reserve meeting? Looks like there's an emergency board meeting today, but I don't think they're going to start cutting rates because of it. I mean, who knows? Maybe. So this is very interesting as well. This should tell you that this isn't just a negotiating tactic. And I said this in the beginning of the video. This is super interesting. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro just said on CNBC, Vietnam's 0% tariff is not enough. So this is not just a negotiating tactic, guys. This is not just a negotiating tactic. Like, they are going to keep these tariffs on because they believe these tariffs are a new way to fund the government. This is more than just a negotiating tactic. Okay, Roger. Yep, that's exactly what I thought it was. It's just a closed-door meeting. It's not an emergency meeting. It was previously scheduled. Okay, thank you, guys. A lot of people are seeing the meeting today and calling it an emergency meeting. I don't think it's going to be an emergency meeting. I don't think there's going to be any emergency reaction. There's no reason for the Federal Reserve to step in if the stock market's going down. That's not the Federal Reserve's job. So really appreciate the clarity there. That is essentially what I thought was going on. A lot of times when people see a Federal Reserve meeting and the market's doing something, they just call it an emergency meeting, even if it's not. No, the issue with CNBC is just my streaming software. It's not pulling in the audio for whatever weird reason. It's 100% on the streaming software side. I see all the I see all the inputs coming in, and I can stream it from my other computer where I know it would work. But of course, the issue streaming from my other computer where I know it would work is the simple fact that I'm running about 50 different things here for the live stream, and then that computer just starts to die. So if the only way to really fix it is, and I know how to fix it, is to restart my laptop, or restart the live stream, which I just don't feel like restarting the live stream. It's not worth it. All the things you're saying on CNBC are very much what we're talking about here. It's the same narratives. It's the same narratives over and over again. The mainstream media is looking at this as a fear catalyst. And the Trump administration is saying, look, this is the market dropping is not any indication of the success of tariffs. The market dropping just shows that the market is uncertain about tariffs. Yeah, the market's going to find a bottom eventually. The market's going to find a bottom eventually. It just depends on how the Trump administration is going to try to coach the bottoming into happening. They're going to do whatever they can to try to coach the bottom to form. They're going to say, oh, well, the market's trying to find a bottom. Oh, the market's going to try to find a bottom, and try to convince people that the market will bottom regardless of what's going on with tariffs. So that's what the Trump administration is trying to make happen. Because if they can stop the crash simply through their own words and not have to change policy, I mean, that's the biggest win they can get. So they're going to be talking a lot today, trying to talk away this crash, because the last thing they want to do is reverse course. It's possible the Federal Reserve could play a role in reversing course, but I don't see it. It seems too early. The Federal Reserve has two mandates. The Federal Reserve has an inflation mandate, and the Federal Reserve has a unemployment mandate. You could make the argument that with where inflation is today, and we'll take a look at trueflation right now. You can make an argument with where inflation is today, the Federal Reserve could kind of justify an emergency cut. Inflation is technically below their target, but I just don't think they're going to do it, because the only things that show inflation below their target are things like trueflation, which the Federal Reserve isn't really looking at. So trueflation is showing inflation at 1.46%. That's below their target. You could say they could do an emergency cut based off that data, but the government data is still lagging a bit behind, and I don't think they're going to be making decisions off trueflation. So I don't think they're going to have an emergency meeting, because the Federal Reserve is not going to do an emergency meeting because the stock market's going down. The Federal Reserve is only going to do an emergency meeting if one of their mandates is at risk. So right now, this is all on the Trump administration to try to calm the market through talking. Either that or pull an emergency switch and cancel tariffs, but they're already coming out today and saying that's absolutely not happening. So the Trump administration is going to stick on tariffs. And that's Trump's exact messaging. Yep, here we go. Trump is like saying that exact same thing right now. So we've got Trump's post right here from Truth. The United States has a chance to do something that should have been done decades ago. We won't be weak. Don't be stupid. Don't panic. Be strong, courageous, and patient. Greatness will be the result. So Trump is continuing to push this as a long game. And so he's not backing off of tariffs. So that's the strategy. The strategy right now is to go in and essentially talk the markets into saying this is not going to have a long-term impact. That's like it or not, that's the strategy, because he does not want to pivot on the actual tariffs. Yes, Peter Navarro did say he expects the market to quickly find a bottom. But, I mean, I like that he's saying that, but at the same time, there's nothing else he can say, because that's the strategy. The strategy right now is for the Trump administration to come out and convince the market that everything's okay. Because the only other way to convince the market that everything is okay right now is to take down tariffs. And I don't think there's any way they're going to be getting rid of tariffs unless they absolutely need to. So the only other pathway they have in order to get this going in the right direction is to go in and talk to the market and convince the market that this is not as bad as the market thinks it is. So that's the fascinating thing. It's just a talking game for the Trump administration right now. They need to convince the market that things are under control. And if they can't do that, then there's going to be a big issue. If they can do that, then they're going to win in this entire thing and they're going to walk out on top. But that's the interesting balancing act going on right now is, can the Trump administration talk themselves out of this? Please turn my mic up. I mean, I think the mic audio has got to be pretty decent. Try turning your computer volume up. Tariffs are really good for a healthy economy in America. Well, here's the thing. Like, whether tariffs are good or bad, personally, I was a fan of the idea of tariffs when Trump is running, and I'm not going to change my opinion on those tariffs because the stock market's going down. The stock market gets stuff wrong all the time, and I think the stock market's going to continue to get stuff wrong. But it only really gets stuff wrong in the short term. The more important thing is whether the stock market has things right for the long run. And I'll go back and read something that I wrote this morning just because I think a lot of new people are here. So I wrote this morning. Trump talked about tariffs throughout his campaign. The market reaction to tariffs is not an indicator of their success or failure. Tariffs are a long game. Anyone calling them just a negotiating tactic misses the bigger picture. And we saw this morning because even though Vietnam said they would do 0% tariffs, Trump administration is saying, nope, doesn't matter. We're going to continue to push this forward. I said they're a core pillar of how Trump believes the government should generate revenue. He's running the government like a business, like it or hate it. That's what's happening. So Trump says we need more revenue. We're going to do tariffs. That's his calculation here. The next thing to do is, in my view, tariffs make sense. Robotic and AI will disrupt human labor entirely. It's strategically unwise for the United States to let other nations dominate this new manufacturing arms race. So, in my opinion, what's likely happening is Elon has showed off what you can do without human labor. The Trump administration is realizing that if every other country dominates manufacturing, robotics, and AI because of manufacturing, the United States is going to be at a strategic disadvantage. So they want all the companies making stuff to be making stuff in the United States. Once again, I think that makes sense. Trump's focus is to bring manufacturing back to the United States, and I think that's smart for long-term security. People react to tariffs if the stock market is a reflection of their true goals. It does not. This is a long-term play to reshape the U.S. economy and drive investment home. Hate tariffs if you want, but don't judge their success by the stock market. The real results, reshored manufacturing and economic security will show in 4 to 6 years if this plan survives. So that's kind of my biggest thing I want to drive home here. The success of tariffs have to be judged off what the result is. And the result was not to make the stock market go up, right? The idea of tariffs were to completely change the way the United States brings in revenue and to reshore manufacturing. If those two things failed, then all of these tariffs were a massive failure and did not succeed. But if in 4 to 6 years from now, we see the government have new revenue models and manufacturing onshored, then that's a huge win for tariffs. It's not going to be what the stock market does before the tariffs are actually really even implemented to any large degree. So and just to be clear, I'm not pushing back at all on anyone saying that they don't like tariffs or they think tariffs are a bad plan. What I'm pushing back on is people looking at the stock market and saying the stock market is going down, therefore it looks like tariffs are failing. That doesn't make any sense. Someone said all the market being pulled out of the market will be pulled back in. Generally agree. Everyone calling the Fed emergency meeting. It's not an emergency meeting. Everyone's now fixing their posts. So there's a lot of talk about an emergency meeting this morning. There is not an emergency meeting. So another thing to note there. Got to be careful in times like this. Everyone's gonna be selling fear catalysts. So everyone's gonna try to be ultra fearful because that's what sells clicks. You know, I don't know. To me, it's not nearly as fearful as a lot of people are making it out to be. Even the people, there's nothing happening in terms of numbers right now that is necessary to be fearful of. It's everyone's thinking that they know exactly what's going to happen to the numbers. Elon Musk just posted a video. I want to see if I can get this Elon Musk video up real quick. I think I should be able to. Oh. Man, I really hate that my audio is not working this morning, but this too will pass. Yep, I generally agree. It all depends. If the tariffs destroy economic numbers and we're in a position where everything just looks terrible, then there's going to have to be a pivot on policy. I just don't see that being realistic. All right, let me see if I can get this going real quick.
Not all Americans know that the US and Russia are actually much closer to each other, just 2 miles apart. And more than that, they are even connected. Sometimes, and here is why. The countries are separated by the Bering Strait. And if we look closer here, we can see 2 tiny Diomede islands which are 2.4 miles apart and divide the mainland of the US and the mainland of Russia. Little Diomede belongs to the USA, and it is home to one of the most isolated towns in the USA called Diomede, with a population of 82 people. Big Diomede belongs to Russia and it is uninhabited. Only military personnel are present. Therefore, Diomede is the closest American town to Russia, separated by 2 miles of water. And the point is that in the winter, the water freezes and creates an ice bridge between the 2 countries, and thus making it possible to cross the border by land. Interesting that there is an international date line between these 2 islands. The difference between them is 21 hours. And if you cross the border from the US side, you will be in the future and become a kind of time traveler.
All right, well, I thought that was going to relate to tariffs if it didn't, but it's still kind of interesting. Funny. I saw the post and I was like, oh, this is definitely Elon Musk's view on tariffs, and has nothing to do with tariffs, but interesting. Nevertheless, raise tariffs, remove income tax. Yeah, I mean, that's what Trump's goal is. Trump's goal is to use tariffs to fund the government. And it's important to realize that's the strategy, because a lot of people, once, like I said earlier, are not judging tariffs based off the strategy. They're judging it based off the stock market reaction. And I just don't think you can do that. The stock market is nothing more than an investor's emotions about tariffs, not the success of the actual tariffs themselves. And that's the most important thing that I'm going to be trying to drive home on this live stream, because I don't think there's anything more important to take away from that simple fact. Let's see what else we got going on here. Da-da-da-da-da. Let me read the comments. Has Patrick Bet David posted a good video on X last night? I posted in a DM. All right, we can take a look at this. Let me pull this up real quick. All right, let's take a look at this.
Monday, like market's going to drop, it's going to be nasty, and it may. So I got some unsolicited advice I want to share with you before we kick off our week. A couple things. When COVID happened, I was in LA getting ready for a board meeting. I land, we get to Beverly Hills Hilton. Wife is there, kids are there. We thought we may as well go to Universal Studios for, having a good time with the family. All of a sudden, that's the day where Rudy Gobert gives COVID to Donovan Mitchell, Disney closed down, Universal closed down, NHL shut down. We're in LA. We're like, what the hell is going on? We got on a plane. I said, babe, we can't stay. We got to go back. Everybody canceled the board meeting. We flew back to Dallas, dropped our family, came back to the office, was at the office till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And the one thing I studied was the following. My entire business insurance is face-to-face. I have to sit down in front of you to sell you. So imagine you got 15, 20,000 insurance agents nationwide. None of us know how to sell on Zoom. We've never done that before, right? So it was a big disruption to our business. Every one of my guys was frightened of what's about to happen. I stayed there. First thing I looked at was the following. In the history of America, I looked at every pandemic that took place, top 10, worst pandemic on how the market performed. And it shows, the collapse and all this other stuff, nasty. Out of 10 pandemics that we've had, 9 of them, whatever the drop was that was drastic, within 6 months, it recovers and goes above and beyond. The only one that it didn't recover for 18 months was the AIDS pandemic that we had. So what's the point here? When the market tanked and it went to like 18,000 Dow, I don't know what it was, but some number like that, one of my good friends was so afraid of where the market was going to be going that he took 100% of his money out of his investments. We're talking 10 million goes down to 5 million. He takes the whole thing out. 3 months after he takes the whole thing out, everything goes back to normal price that it was before and beyond. But he lost $5 million. So what's the moral of the story? Whether tomorrow is going to be black, if it's Black Monday tomorrow, I'm losing tens of millions of dollars tomorrow, and purely investment-wise. But if it is, pump the brakes, not your financial advisor, seek counsel. I got to put that disclaimer out there. Pump the brakes, don't make an emotional decision. If you're a passive investor, not an active one. Active is somebody that watches it 24/7 and is managing everything that's going on. But if you're passive, 401k, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, stuff like that you have, that all of them, oh my God, Bitcoin went to this, Ethereum went to this, look at the Tesla, look at Max 7, look at what are we going to do? Just pump the brakes. This tariff situation is going to come about and it's going to go. You have to know one thing that the president knows and every CEO of every job knows. If the market goes into shits, guess what? The other party's taking over midterms. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying to you. So every leader knows when you come in and you make some drastic changes, it better work or else the other side's going to get a job. They know that. Trust me. So having said that, long term, future looks bright. Short term, only the paranoid survive. Whatever you do, try to tap into your ability to reason. Not emotion, but logic and reason. If you do that, we're all going to be fine. But I will tell you, we are about to go through some bumpy. This is why I call 2025 the year of surprises, because I knew this was coming up. And I knew if the president was going to do what he said he was going to do with tariffs, oh, lots of enemies. And many of the enemies he was going to create were going to be domestic. People who lose money. And a lot of people have lost money so far in 2025. But I don't want you to be surprised tomorrow if Monday's a crazy day with the market. That's why I call 2025 the year of surprises. And if you know one thing, if you've seen Tom.
So I actually think that was a really good video. It's very good at level setting. I generally agree with him. I think he's pretty spot on there. You know, it's one of those things. It's like the goal here is so much larger than just having the market do what people want the market to do. And until we really see the long-term effects of it, we're just not going to have any idea. It's going to be one of those things where the market has to figure things out. Guys, with that said, though, I've got to jump. I'm going to put some good work into making sure tomorrow everything's functioning as intended on the live stream. So I appreciate you guys for bearing with me in the beginning there. Looks like I just need to reconfigure some things on the back end, but overall, I think the message to take home from my perspective is just that this is going to be a very interesting game to be watched played. I just saw that the EU is now coming to the bargaining table on tariffs, so everyone's coming to Trump looking to end tariffs. The negotiation is happening now. I don't think it's just going to be an end to tariffs. I think Trump is going to take some short-term wins, bring tariffs down on certain countries, and keep them high on other countries. But in my opinion, the Band-Aid has already been ripped off. And the other most important thing to realize is that this is a controlled demolition. Trump is purposely creating this market turmoil. And because of that, he has the ability to stop the market turmoil whenever he wants. This isn't one of those situations like COVID where everything was out of everyone's control. Instead, everything we're watching is fully under Trump's control. And therefore, he has the power to stop this whenever he wants. The reason why he hasn't stopped it yet is because he thinks he can talk the market to turn around, and he thinks he can talk the market into turning around, all while keeping his tariffs on. The fact that they're still speaking from that position of power lets me know that they think they're in a pretty good place to be able to let this thing shake out naturally, because if they were really worried about some crash that'd be unsustained and actually absolutely killing the economy, what they would be doing is, rather than talking, is they would be taking action and saying they were going to put dates on the removal of tariffs. Right now, the entire market's reacting to tariffs. That's no surprise for the Trump administration. But the important thing to realize is they have the power to stop that whenever they want. And the fact that they haven't done that yet really shows that they don't think they need to. They think they're going to be able to talk this thing down. So we're going to see if that strategy is successful. I have no idea. Personally, I think the market's reaction so far has been irrational. I think the Trump administration should be able to talk people out of it. I think different countries coming to the table to negotiate is going to make the market feel better. But there hasn't been any numbers we've seen in the market yet, other than people's theory of how these tariffs will impact on the market. So until the market actually starts getting hit with actual numbers on how these tariffs have negatively impacted things, then it's nothing more than a bunch of people's speculation. So either the people in the market are right or they're wrong. I'm under the impression that they're probably wrong, in the sense that this over the long run is actually going to be beneficial rather than harmful. Maybe over the next 3 months, it's harmful rather than beneficial, but it's a long-term plan. I don't think Trump ever expected it to be a short-term plan. So evaluating the success of what's happening on short-term metrics is only telling you what other people think is going to happen in the future, not what's going to be happening in the future. So I'll leave it at that, guys. We'll see what shakes out in the rest of the day. Tomorrow, I'm sure we'll have another exciting